And we are back di Merdeka Youth Forum live di Facebook page iWell, and you guys can also visit the link yang ada dekat Instagram kita orang to experience the virtual environment. So for your information, everyone is viewing this session live lah dekat dalam a virtual environment. So basically right now kita ada two amazing people. We have one from the industry, one are actually doing something yang melibatkan bisnes dia, and another one yang sedang menggerakkan satu-satu ideologi dekat Malaysia ni. So we have Asyur from Pertubuhan Penggerak Inovasi Malaysia, or we call it My Inovasi, and we have Harith from the Green Factory. Harith, nak start with you. I'm actually confused. Nama you ni Muhammad Harith the Green Carpenter bin your father, or what? Because I go to your Facebook, pergi dekat LinkedIn, nak cari nama penuh kan, nampak Harith the Green Carpenter, Harith the Green Carpenter. So can you please introduce yourself, and can you please tell me the coolest Merdeka memory that you've ever had in your life?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm Harith. I'm also known as the Green Carpenter. Nama dalam IC Harith Rizwan. Okay. Tapi Harith Green Carpenter ni branding lah. So efficient lah. So every social media you nampak the same name je. So people tak confused.
So what do you do?
So I run a 28-year-old family business. So we focus on the manufacturing of sustainable wood products like furniture, homeware and gifts. And we have been doing sustainable product around 8-9 years already, and we have exported to more than 20 countries.
Can you please, before going to the question, what is your coolest,
coolest Merdeka
memory? I mean, being in a 28 years old kilang kayu, takkan tak ada pernah buat tugu negara ke?
Soalan ni kau tak tanya awal kan?
Ini soalan
Cepumas
lah.
Merdeka specifically tu tak ada, tapi what we do is every year during Merdeka, biasalah kita akan ada Merdeka campaign and all that. So kita akan letak bendera dekat all over the factory, and then bila campaign tu bila ada content tu kita panggil semua orang, sebab my factory we have around 26 to 40 people at one go. So 80% of the staff is below 35. So memang we are a youth team lah, so very useful. So seronok lah. It's not just Merdeka je. Kalau ada raya atau even Christmas punya ni ke apa, we akan panggil ramai-ramai, and memang we do content tu fun lah. That's what I like about this seasonal thing, not just Merdeka, but Merdeka ni is more patriotic lah.
So rolling the ball to Asyur, can you please tell sikit pasal diri, and what is your coolest Merdeka memory?
Okay, thank you Hanif for inviting me for this Merdeka Youth Forum. It's really good for the youth to know about this. My name is Asyur Anwar, you can call me Asyur. I am the president and founder of Pertubuhan Penggerak Inovasi Malaysia, or called My Inovasi. Currently I'm working for a consultant firm as strategy consultant, and was running my own company before in the IT software development house. And the coolest Merdeka memory, selain daripada nak sambut tengok bunga api, I think I remember like masa school, I think, you know, like reklamasi sajak, right? Masuklah join the sempena kemerdekaan lah.
That is crazy bro. That is crazy. You didn't know that.
Ni power ni.
Power.
Skema.
Dengar suara memang dah tahu lah. Kalau cerita mesti sedap ni.
That's 15 years ago lah. Dah tak tahu dah macam nak saja.
Tak boleh demo dah.
Betul ke kan kalau boleh demo kan. Okay, so basically the topic that we're going to talk today is revolves around pandemic lah. Kita nampak tahun lepas we are being bombarded with the pandemic, shifting the economy, that's one thing, and then plus the political instability pun is not contributing positively towards the economy kan. We want to understand how did you guys do it, that's number one, and what can we do to prepare ourselves for post-pandemic. That is the main topic, and in the spirit of Merdeka, we hope that the example can be localized, so hence why we are inviting both of you guys. So basically, I just want to understand before we go into the question lah. Harith, you said that the factory is 28 years old, but you've only been producing sustainable product for about 9 years old. That's number one. How did that came about? And number two, and how you transformed from it being a legacy company to a youthful company. So can you please share your story?
So the company was founded in 1993 by my parents. So since I was roughly 10 years old, I always have to go to the factory during school holiday. So I was working. So when everyone else was going on holiday somewhere, I have to go work. So I used to hate it lah. So it goes on every year until uni lah. So I grew up in the industry and I gained a lot of knowledge there. So after I finished study, I came back to Malaysia. I helped out the family business, start going deeper into the industry and learning a lot of things. So after 4 years in, I have to decide on how do I bring the company further. Since I'm the first of 10 siblings, so it's on my shoulder. At that time, 2012. So I look at the business that we are currently in. So we are doing furniture and interior business. So it's like what everyone else is doing. So there's nothing special about what we're doing. So it's very competitive. It's always about the price wars, who knows who's and all that. So I don't like that. For your information or for the listeners' information, Malaysia is one of the best manufacturer of wood products in the world. We are top 12 for wood product. For furniture, we are top 10 manufacturer in the world. So Malaysia have exported to more than 160 countries. So we are very strong in the wood sector. However, when you talk to developed countries, especially, they would say that our furniture are not sustainable. We are not taking care of our forests, blah, 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 blah. And then at the same time, 2012 was Malaysia have one of the highest deforestation rate in the world at that time. So it was very worrying for me because my industry is directly related to forestry. So I don't feel good about it. So I decided if I want to continue the business, I want to make it to a more sustainable way. But at that time, I don't know what is green furniture. I don't know anything. I just know that I wanted to do something different, something that might be better for everyone. And that is when I started with recycle wood. Because we have access to a lot of pallets and crates, so I started making tables and furniture from recycled wood. But at that time, people don't really understand it, so they think that is it clean? Is it like strong? There's a lot of stigma to it. But 2012 is also the year when, by the end of it, it's one of the trend of hipster cafes. So that is when you see a lot of those cafes with recycled interior wood and furniture. And that is because we are one of the pioneers, so we get to do a lot of those jobs. And that is when I see that there is potential in this area. And that is when people get to know me as Harith bin Carpenter as well. And because I also grew in the industry, I see a lot of problem in the industry that needs to be sorted. For example, our reliance on foreign labor. Like in my industry, most of the staff are foreign laborers, and no local youth wants to work in the wood industry because it's the 3D industry, right? The T, dangerous, the meaning. So what we wanted to do was we want to create a concept factory where we want it to be so dirty, it's clean, dangerous. Dangerous, we have a lot of trainings, we have machines that is safe, and also we try to minimize a lot of the risk. Demeaning, people always think that kerja kilang kayu ni tak ada kelas kan. So that is why right now our factory is designed in such a way that it's very use friendly. There's garden in front. There's a lot of colors, and we try to make fun activities as well. So that's why we have a lot of youth coming in, and we are happy to report that 90% of our staff are local and 80% is below 35.
That is crazy numbers. I mean, for a kilang kayu, when we talk about kilang, to have that numbers is very crazy. 90%, over 80% locals, over 90% youth. Sorry, 90% are local, 80%
80%
are
are
youth.
youth.
Oh, that, but still crazy numbers. So Asyur, passing on the mic to you kan, I just want to understand apa yang kita buat yang betul lah, macam for business kan, for the industry, what did we do right based on your observation and your insight, and based on your knowledge and experience, what can we do to push ourselves further post pandemic?
I think, yeah, before the pandemic, I think we never thought about to go fully digital or even to go working from home like normal. So I think the one of things that they have some jokes, right? What they can do is company transform digitally because of COVID, not because of consultant saying so. So it's like they speed up the process of digitalization. Even for example, in a big company like MNC or even in JLC company, based on my experience attached Khazanah itself, before the pandemic, they just set up a digital unit but don't execute yet any plan. But because of pandemic, that kind of speed up the process and somehow doing the strategy paper and execute the digital transformation in Khazanah itself. So this is somehow even the bigger company doing it rapidly. And for the small company like SMEs or even micro SMEs, right? Before this, they never care about online businesses or even care about e-commerce itself or even any software tools they want to use. Right now, they are using that. They are focusing on that. Even government agencies like SME Corp or even MARA have done a lot of kursus ataupun courses yang macam mana nak using the digital software. Like before that, we are used or even that tech savvy thought this is a simple thing, right? Semua orang tahu pasal Canva, for example. But because of this pandemic, those micro SMEs, right, or even SMEs and even a bigger company kind of need to learn using Canva, right, somehow. And even same time, Microsoft Teams and Zoom. Before that, we thought like Google Hangout or Google Meet something casual, or even Skype something casual. But right now, it's a real thing. So, and that's good thing about this because we're pushing not just the bigger company, but even in the factory itself, how they want to transform using any tools that helping them up. Not just in operation, maybe in HR, even in accounting department, kind of learn how not just using an Excel, but other tools that they can do in the home itself. And yes, we still have lagging about, for example, in the manufacturing sector, what kind of technology that can be used efficiently and kurangkan nama wabak ni. They are still learning about that. But they are going there. I mean, that this is a good process, and I think that MITI and mostly, I think last month or 2 months ago, I just launched the IR 4.0 plan, right? To transform this factory to using more AI and more robotics and IoT in the factory itself. I think it's a good thing. Yeah, I know this will impact much about the bigger factory or bigger manufacturers, but if you see that there will be a trickle down, the bigger will adapt to it. Somehow, this is open to startup to create a new product in the market itself or innovation product like Green Carpenter itself. There's a need of a green product itself in the market itself. And Harith also told that he manufacture or operate and supply it to hospital. I think it's wonderful. So that's the right thing that we have done. No, yeah, it's still far to go. And I'm not know how this pandemic will go on. Even though we will be vaccinated or achieve the herd immunity, I think there's still a lot of SOP need to follow on, and how we want to do efficiently improve operation and during this pandemic, not just digitalization, but I think not to beyond digitalization. That's where I think in Japan or in some countries, they are thinking about the society 5.0, right? So as a youth, it is us to be the leader and champion and advocate, because there's a lot of, we call it psychology and mental illness nowadays happening in our society. And how do you want to move forward? Not just digitalization, but also how to move in this ideal society 5.0. So we as a youth need to think about it too. Yep.
Understood. Thank you, Asyur, for the insight on Society 5.0. So, Harith, I believe your situation is much more delicate sebab the nature of your business is B2B, and we're talking about wood product. So, wood product ni quality datang apabila kita pakai tangan, datang, hilang, and then dia punya craftsmanship tu yang penting. So, how did you adapt to this pandemic? Like, what initiative did you take, and any plans for you to move forward with maybe robotics ke automation ke?
Thank you for that question. Actually, our business is both B2B and B2C. So of course, during the pandemic, a lot of our B2B are affected. B2C mostly because our retailers are affected, but we have seen interest through online. So we do have traction there. But correct, most of our business is B2B. So okay, just to share with you, 2020, our revenue is better than 2019, and 2021 is better than last year.
Is it significant increase?
Quite significant. So it's various factors to it. One of it is because we have few business, meaning like few segment that we cater to. Whenever some of it affected a lot. So what we did was, before this, we are not really online per se, meaning like we are active on social media. We do get some sales from Instagram and all that, but we mostly focus on retailers because our products are more of premium products, so mostly it's easier for them to see and feel first before they decided to buy. But during the pandemic, all our retailers are affected. So the first thing we do is we shift our focus online base. And I think because we have developed our brands, like at that time we had Harith in Carpenter, HGC, Dapoware, and the Green Factory. So since we have built the brand for quite some times for the pandemic, so during the pandemic they still buy from us online. So I'm guessing because we have made the brand in such a way that it's dependable, people there is already sharing and all that. So that is what we see work for us. So we pump up our work online so that we can cater to that. But at the same time, the industry also need this kind of thing, especially sustainable products, because corporates they do want this kind of product. But like last year, even though it's pandemic, they still order gifts and all that because they can post and they can do all those kind of things. They still need to do all that. So
I mean, sorry Haris, sorry to cut off. Did you
Hmm.
adjust, macam contohnya kalau pandemic kan, you create a product based on the situation ke, ataupun I mean what kind of products do you create for corporate gifts?
Okay, so our product range ada banyak. Tapi bila pandemik, kita fokus on certain segment. Contoh home products. So our serving board, our chopping board, our phone holders, our like organizers, they are selling well. And that is what kita do campaign based on that. So that's why we need to always be alert with what's happening. It's always difficult. So I think that's why one of the reason this pandemic is good for everyone is we now are more certain that everything is uncertain. So we cannot really be confident about everything. So, but once we accept that there's a lot of uncertainty, then you work within the parameters what you can control.
So you guys are very agile lah. Boleh kata macam made to order lah. If you need idea, boleh build the product. Is it?
Depends, because our factory is R&D factory, so we do a lot of R&D for product and design. So that's why we are still agile. So we don't rely on one product. So we see the different. If let's say there's no demand for office stuff because people are not on office, but there are still demand for home office. So we focus on home office products.
That is very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. So what I mean, roughly, do you have any? What's your plan moving forward? So to keep the momentum.
For me personally, there's few things lah. And for the company, we are growing rapidly right now, and we are getting investors in to grow the business, because right now we are over capacity. We have so much demand and we have to say no to a lot of things. So that's why we want to grow the business. At the same time, we are training a lot of students. We are a teaching factory, so we are training a lot of youth. Apprentice internship, so people who wants to be part of the wood industry. And because for us, we believe that blue collars, we need to naikkan martabat diorang. Macam dekat Germany, for example, the blue collar earns almost similar dengan white collar or even more. Sebab tu they don't even go to university, they go apprenticeship. Because kerja tangan can earn more kan. So kat Malaysia ni, we are seeing kerja tangan ni kerja low class kan. But kat Germany, kat Australia, plumber, apa semua ni diorang yang banyak duit. So we need to build that. So for us, we want to train them in like, okay, in terms of technology, so we have two segments of the factory. The back of the factory is where we do traditional manufacturing. So this is where we use traditional machine, cutting, apa semua tu. And then in front of the factory is where future manufacturing. We have CNC, we have laser, and we are working with robotics coming in. So we get to, our staff is not just a carpenter or something. We are working to having like engineers or technician that is making all these items. So we get positioned to the machineries, but at the same time, most of the time, the works that the machine do is not the final work. So we still have to have a lot of handwork. So you get that handcrafted feel. So you get best of both worlds.
Very interesting. I mean, I would love to visit your factory one day when the pandemic is over ataupun government dah buat SOP untuk kita masuk kilang, visit kilang ke apa benda kan. But passing the ball to Asyur, you've been talking about society 5.0. We do understand that business like macam Harith punya business and some of your friends yang buat business kan, definitely business akan berubah. Kalau business tu tak berubah, dia akan mati, akan hilang. What do you mean by the society needs to change alongside the business? So can you elaborate more on society 5.0?
And that's what my opinion is, that digital transformation helping the businesses to move forward itself. But how about the society itself to move forward and how them to adapt this kind of pandemic? So that's where we call it a society or social transformation, and we call it society 5.0. So society 4.0 before is more on information and digital, but to move forward, but to make it more with adapting this pandemic thing. So we need to go to beyond that, and this is why we call it 5.0. Is just like if we, in the company they have an ECG, right? Environment, sustainable, green and corporate governance, but then it's applied under society itself. So how you want to have, for example, environment, sustainable environment itself, and how education to our kids, right? Even though they're learning from home, how to empower them at the same time, how to leverage whatever the school or even the teachers taught to them, because this is some issue that we've been neglected nowadays, right? I don't say that online learning is not good, but I'm saying that how to make it better for everyone and have equal access to it. So this is where the society 5.0 kind of issue and concern that they need to be highlighted itself. And right this that we've been focusing much on economy issue and also focusing much about health issue, but we less focus on the society issue itself. So I'm not blaming anyone, but as a youth that we need to think about it, and if we can't do anything, at least we can do advocate about it and even champion about it, and we're helping those people who really need about it. Because there's a, for example, like Bendera Putih campaign, right? It's a good initiative, right? I don't say it's not a good initiative. It's a social, it's a bottom-up initiative. But how we want to move forward on this thing? How, right? Like we cannot do that. It's a one-off thing. We need to think about it in sustainability. If let's say the government doesn't work and government changing every, I don't know, 1 year, every year changing government, how does the society itself gonna governance themselves? So this is where the society 5.0 transform, building or framework need to be done or need to be thinking. So I think the NGOs, like for example, like My Innovasi itself, or even other NGOs, like even startup, those are youth-driven organizations like Youth Venture itself, we can do this. I mean, like even if the government cannot do that, I think we can do that. I mean, like we can start using the movement or even any kind of initiative that we can done for the helping the society itself. So Society 5.0 is something not near, but something can be achieved and possible if we think about it and at the same time doing it about it. So I mean, like for me, the concern is education right now for the kids, for those who have no equal access. They need some research on doing that. Even if let's say the ministry doesn't know how to solve it, that right, there's some we as a youth need to solve it in our own way itself. Yeah.
Understood. Very interesting, and I would like to point out some of the points that I should say to relate with what some of the points that Harith said. About, I mean, one thing is Society 5.0, and Harith mentioned a bit on having apprenticeship program, having internship program. So as we can see, the current situation because of the pandemic, we can see that there's a bit of disruption in the education system. So of course, when that happen, one of the key things yang paling teruk berlaku ialah students yang buat internship tak boleh dapat confirmation bila habis internship, bila start internship. And students yang habis SPM do not consider studying as a viable option because they say kalau study di rumah baik, go out and work, be a gig worker, grab driver, whatnot. So Harith, can you please tell us a bit about your apprenticeship program and internship program? And what are you doing on that end, like to support youth learning how to do carpentry?
So in terms of internship, we train around 10 to 15 students every 6 months. So this from various tertiary education. So it can be like university, college kemahiran, polytech. So normally they have a certain few months of their study where they have to do industrial training. So before pandemic, like normal they come and all that. So when pandemic come, it becomes weird again because they cannot come, right? So, but what we did was because they managed to come on most of the time. So the one that they don't come, they do other things. So there are research like design development, and there are few other things that they can do from home. And as well, we are studying decentralized manufacturing. So this is where, because when the start of the first MCO, everyone has to work from home, but factory workers, they can't really work from home because they have to be physically there. So for me, I feel like, how can I solve this problem? Let's do decentralized. So decentralized manufacturing, meaning that you are not putting all the pressure of manufacturing in the factory itself. So what we did was the main works like cutting or dangerous or like that requires machine and place, then we do it at the factory. But the work that can be do at home, they do at home. For example, like sanding and coating. Then after that, we have a van or truck that's sent to the houses, and that's why it's important to work with the local communities as well. So it's not, the idea is not just for intern, it's for a lot of different communities that we are working. For example, we're working with refugees, youth that cannot go out, like single mothers. So these are the idea how we work with communities. And for us, it helped lessen the pressure of everyone needs to come to the factory.
Itu pressure lah, everyone needs to come to the factory. Interesting. Again, I learned a new keyword, decentralized manufacturing. That is very interesting. Okay, so before we move on to the next question kan, rasa macam dah tense sikit. Let's go for a trivia question. So can we go for a trivia question? So soalannya is, what is the oldest company in Malaysia? A. Harrison Sabah Holding, B. Dunlop, and C. Post Malaysia. So
Post Malaysia.
okay, Post Malaysia. Asyur, same answer, different answer?
Dunlop.
Dunlop. Okay, I'm not sure whether Dunlop is a Malaysian company or not. Just randomly put it there. But jawapan dia betul, Post Malaysia. So for your information, Post Malaysia ada kat Malaysia since the year 18,000. 18,000. So crazy lah. But the crazier part is I don't believe Post Malaysia simpan lah rekod daripada tahun 18,000, right?
Sayang kan? Sayang kan?
Sayang,
Kalau
sayang.
dia ada like some of the stamp ke apa kan?
Exactly. So if you go Google kan, Post Malaysia is actually the oldest company in Malaysia. So yeah. So we move on to the next question. So
Dapat dia?
Tak ada hadiah. Dia dapat ni.
Satu je ke?
Dapat bangga je lah kan. Tahniah,
Satu je.
kita peluk, tepuk tangan je.
Macam tu aku pula nak bagi trivia kat kau kan?
Boleh. Do you have any trivia question? Any interesting trivia question?
Binatang apa? What animal goes om?
What animal goes om? I'm not sure.
A cow walking backwards.
That's not a trivia question, bro.
Sorry, tak ada. Anak aku sekarang ni tengah shock gila lame jokes ni. So aku pun macam layan je.
Tapi aku layan name joke, so I get it. Asyur tak layan name jokes. Okay, anyways, moving on. Nak tanya lah kat korang kan. First to Asyur lah. Kenapa? I mean during this pandemic, right? Change is constantly happening. As quoting from Harith, everything is uncertain. So we need to be certain to be uncertain, right? So do you have any way for companies to actually sustain themselves in this situation or in this pandemic, right? Kenapa macam ada tak way for companies to keep on being agile or keep on innovating? Because I don't believe that macam semua orang macam Haris. Saya tak percaya semua orang ada that keberanian untuk innovate, kata kita buat macam ni, buat macam ni, right? Especially a 20-year-old company. So any framework or any easy way for us to actually transform?
Yep. I think certainty is what we are certain is about uncertainty right now. Betul, that's right. But in a way to manage or to plan, right? Even the economists, right? Even they forecast something maybe not right now, or maybe true, I don't know. But what we can see here is like it's in the local market itself, like they are calling about the global what do you call it, a global market. I mean, like, so global business services, I mean, like, you call it a global market. So instead of thinking about the local market itself, right? Maybe it's not certain in our local market. There are uncertainty because of politics, because of the economy, because of pandemic. But there are some countries are very certain currently that managing this pandemic itself. So somehow, if we can think about it, way to approach those companies, even in Singapore itself, they have gazetted this COVID as an endemic. It's something that like a flu, right? Because they want a certain in the country itself. So we can look that on that market itself. That's one of the way, because it's not just in our local. So we can look in other market itself, the way that the country, how they are certain, at least in 6 months or even in 1 year itself, how they manage the country. So because right now, even in the US itself, they are not managing well about the COVID, but they kind of cover up is the Afghanistan issue itself. So to make themselves doing okay in terms of COVID itself, even in UK. So there's a country that is a way they don't want to think about the COVID itself. They are thinking about how to move forward about this thing. But because it's our corporate, if our micro SMEs or SMEs itself, because how you want to predict what happened in 1 week itself, right? So this is satu uncertain itself. So one of the way is if you have much capital itself, is you do R&D, as I said before, doing innovation. But if you don't have much capital, how you want to do that, right? And how you want, do you really willing to take the risk itself or not? So that's the way that one of whether you can ask helping from other government agencies, because they are really what we good right now. The government doing a lot of things, giving an allocation and something grant or something like that, not just into individual but so to companies. So it's very easy to get loan right now, even and grant. So that's one of the way to get the capital. And also they have a moratorium. There's some we call it rules about the moratorium itself, but that is for micro SMEs, and they really need some help, right? But for those corporate companies, they have left lot of reserve, and they have a lot of existing client that really paying with them. So I don't think they have so much uncertainty in that company itself. They might have some R&D doing it. They willingly to take the risk itself. But right now, I'm saying you that the company are doing those big companies are doing so well, right? Comparing to the small company or the micro company. So there's some like not imbalance in the market itself. So that's where, as not just the government, you need to know as a Ministry of Finance itself and or MITI need to balance it out, and we need a strong leadership to manage this crisis itself. So, but as a youth itself, how we can do this, right? we don't have much power. What we can say is we're saying something, but there are not much changes or not much impactful enough. But what we can do if we're working for, most of our youth are working for our companies or even in working for startup. So try to think, leverage any capital or any grant that in the market itself, if you want to have a capital, and try to be more open, not just in the local market, even going to regional, try to go there and see what happened in other country opportunity. I think Indonesia is doing so well right now, even in Vietnam itself. So why we are lacking behind, even though there are countries doing a pandemic itself. So there's those countries have a strong leadership behind it. So that's where they have certainty in terms of business, even though they have a pandemic happening around. So that's one thing. And other than that is like, if you have much capital, we can do R&D or innovation, and we can adopt the agile practice way. And I think lots of company right now, they're trying to evolve, even the big company trying to evolve using the agile way. So it's just a matter of times. So if we need to open up, it's not happening in Malaysia itself. It's happening all over the world, but the way they're managing it is different. Even in Japan, they are very advanced company, but somehow they kind of not prepared enough about this managing the pandemic, and the economy is not really good enough for now in Japan itself. But in China itself, how they managing it? So this is different story in different countries itself. So there's always a certainty, but it's not always certainty. So as our entrepreneur or even innovator itself, we look upon it. We need to identify the problem and so the gap in there. That's why I think the youth nowadays, this is a challenge for us, right? It's a challenge for us. So if we just take it and leave it, I think we can going nowhere. But if let's say maybe you think 50 years in front, when you tell the story to your grandkids or everything, this is what I do, right? I done something not for my country, I done something more than that. So this is our challenge, the youth challenge right now. How we want to make this uncertainty become certain itself. That's a really wonderful time for us.
That is, oh yeah, that is a good point of view. You've actually shifted my point of view a bit lah. Sure. Harith, you mentioned just now, your company itself are servicing other markets, not just local markets. Am I correct? How are you adapting to this current to the pandemic? So do you still service other markets? I mean, do you still get orders from overseas?
So during the pandemic, most of our export are out of the window. So we are not doing a lot of export. Maybe we do, but maybe Singapore, but that's just a little bit. But a lot of the growth are local. So that's why we are now focusing a lot on the local economy as well. At first, we thought that green product is mostly for the developed countries because they are the one that understands it and wants it. But now we are seeing that, okay, actually local ecosystem or the local market also want this kind of products. So that's why right now, a lot of the things that I'm doing, one is my activism work, meaning like I do a lot of talk or activities that is more catered to business people, business changing to adopt sustainability. Because in Malaysia, there is, it's not a problem of awareness anymore for sustainability, my opinion. Because if you ask a lot of younger generation, especially, they all want green. I mean, like, there's no such, I mean, like, it's already want more green more than what we used to want, right? So, but the problem, there's two problems. First is availability. If I want to buy a green cup, for example, is it available or not? If not, there is a demand, but there's no supply. And the second one is affordability. People always think that green products are expensive. So how do we cater to that? So that is why for me, I do a lot of activism work for businesses to show them, okay, this is actually how you do green business. You don't do greenwashing, because right now a lot of people, because green is a trend, they do one simple thing and then they say their product is green. So that's why I have I'm active on LinkedIn, and also now we are developing communities. Right now we have Green Design Malaysia. So this is a local Facebook group that focuses on green design and also sustainable business, and how green practices and business can grow in Malaysia. So we have around 1,300 members now, students, academicians, business people, designers. And this is where we discuss about issues pertaining sustainability, because people only think sustainability is just material. So material is just one small part of sustainability. Saving the environment is one part of sustainability, but there are other elements of sustainability: mental health, physical health, culture preservation, a lot of waste management, and a lot of these issues that needs to be discussed, because right now there are people that are pushing for sustainability and all that, but there's not much in terms of more about lifestyle. It's about no straw lah, save the environment, save the animals. Tapi the stuff that is like bread and butter, for example, business, people need to get money, people need to survive. So how can they make their business green, or how can they make sure that they work with a company that cares about other things rather than money? So these are the things that I'm into right now, and I'm doing a lot, and I would like to invite the listeners as well to be part of the community, Green Design Malaysia, or any other community that talks about these kind of issues, because we need all these people. We need the younger generation. We need new ideas, because you guys are gonna run the show in 50 years or 20, 30 years in the future. And so this is where your contribution are, and this is where you have to continue learn. I thought that I'm gonna finish exam and study after university, but I'm still learning up to now. And the pandemic is more learning. So it's a never-ending journey. So so that's what I feel like we should move towards.
Thank you for that. It was very beautifully said lah. Macam I actually understand that your personal mission is not just for the betterment of your kilang, for your factory, tapi you use your factory as a vehicle for societal change ataupun to develop the community. And I want to thank you for that lah. We need more people like you. And nanti kena masuk ke Asyur dekat Green Design Malaysia Facebook group kan. So passing the question to Asyur, I think it's the last question. I mean, and then after this I'm going to pass the last question to Harith, so then we can end the session. But sure, last question for you. Dekat, I mean, as you said lah just now, you are sad ataupun takut misquote kan, tapi roughly what you said is you see that there's no changes in the education system during the pandemic, and then it is a very big issue. That is one issue. Tapi dalam masa yang sama, we see a lot of education technology company raise funding, develop new technology, and actually macam strive lah, they are doing good. Why does that happen? Kenapa ada satu kekosongan dekat situ? Kenapa kita tak nampak perubahan sistem education tu selaju education technology punya company?
Okay, good. Yeah. I agree that there's a lot of edutech company doing quite well during this pandemic. But yeah, I've said before, this is ecosystem itself, right? It's the ecosystem problem and ecosystem imbalance itself. So there's a disruptor, and there's some adopters, and also there's some investor, but there's a lack of governance there. At the same time, lack of sharing knowledge platform. So example like a startup, they know some problem happening around, and they identify the problem and they supply the product itself. And there's some adopters, the big company or university or even private company use that, adapt that for the employee or even for their staff or even for their students itself. There's a good there, and the investor coming in sees this some market there, they try to invest in there. But the governance the governance part or the governance control that we call it. So the governance is not there, the lack of there, and there's a lot of lack of sharing knowledge there. So what happening around in the market itself, is the government knowing what happening around? Because I'm not saying the government itself, the governance. So there's like a PIBG is there coming in. There's a lack of a school board and the same school education department itself and the ministry itself. So there's a lot of governance need to be there because and also in the media you need to playing a role there too. So when there's a lack of what we call it monitoring or lack of we call it knowledge sharing, that's where there's the imbalance there because the ministry people thought this is the way, but the market says not. It's not the way. This is a way B. But when the student in the house says no, it's not all. It's different story. So right now, what we want to solve actually, right? So it need to have a. Right now we are going digital transformation. There's a cloud basis sharing platform, knowledge, everything in one places that people can see it. Oh, this is the problem happening around. This is the solution going around, and this is the policy that need to be done right now. And I'm not saying that they are not doing nothing, they're not doing enough for it, right? So for example, this is a hardware problem, right? And there's a two in the infra problem, there's a network problem, data problem. So that's one thing. And if it's a I know that the timetable right now is 2 hours maximum for online learning in the school. There's some 4 hours, some school, but that's what. How come they see that? How come they come up with that solution? Is there doing research behind it, right? And if let's say there are not, there are some research is good, but we don't know. I mean, like the rakyat doesn't know what's happening around. How come the policy coming out? There's a lack of knowledge sharing there. There's transparency of that. And even if the startup want to know what happening around in the government, at least they know what happening around and they can provide a good, better solution. So that's where we're lacking around the governance governance and control. At the same time, the lack of knowledge sharing of knowledge platform. So if we want to do better for education ecosystem, then we need to think about it and execute about it. That's from me lah.
Okay, Harith, passing the ball to you on the Malaysian education system. What are you guys doing to help? I mean, do you have programs for schools ke ataupun Green Design Malaysia? Do you advocate ajar-ajar cikgu-cikgu sekolah untuk be more sustainable ke? So are you guys doing anything on that area?
So education has always been one of our core thing that we want to pursue because sustainability is relatively new in Malaysia. But mind you, people think that sustainability is a Western ideology, comes from the Western country. But actually kalau kita tengok our nenek moyang kan, rumah kita didesign in a way to minimize heat. So dulu rumah kampung ke mesti don't need pun aircon. They rainwater harvest, they do light harvesting. Bila dia orang pergi mana-mana, dia orang bawa bekal kan, and then daun pisang, benda tu biodegradable. So a lot of the things that they are doing are very sustainable. So sustainability is not a foreign concept. Bila datang modernization is a Western concept. So then they ruin a lot of different things. So now it's about looking back and see how can we use some of the concept in the future as well. So that is why we feel that education is important, at least in terms of sustainability. So we work a lot with press. So we talk with media, TV, radio, and all that. We talk about what we're doing and the thought process behind it, and so people have more understanding. We have classes for sekolah, bila sekolah menengah dia ada cuti sekolah, they have that. We have internship for university, we have apprenticeship for after university. So eventually we're going to have specialist program, so you can specialist on that. So there's a lot of things that we feel that can benefit the ecosystem of Malaysia in terms of skill base. So we are trying to work more on this hand or skill based industry, and because we feel that we are lacking there. But at the same time, what we have been doing this past 9 years, if we while we make our production green, our facility green, and our process green, we created a framework where I call it Projective Green System. This framework is applicable to a lot of other manufacturing sectors, so it's not just wood. For example, like our wood, our factory, we practice zero waste manufacturing. So our waste wood is last time used to be around 30%. So now it's 5%. So we are also close to going to 0% waste. So this is one of the principles of sustainability in the framework that we look into. And I feel like everyone can benefit from having sustainability in their business or in their personal life. Businesses think that in order to be or go into green, you have to have solar panels, expensive machine, expensive material, so that they shy away from it because there's cost involved, right? So there are a lot of different ways to use sustainability as a like for me, I managed to create a revenue source from my waste and from using sustainability, cost reduction, new revenue. So when you talk about businesses, it's always about money. So it always depends on who you talk with. So yeah.
Betul. Oh, that's crazy. Again, a refreshing point of view. Okay, guys. We are approaching the end of our session. Just to wrap the session, kan, Ben. Before that, I would like to thank you guys for being here. I believe that we had a very productive discussion on multiple angles, on multiple topics. So just to close this session, Asyur and Harith, do you have any hope for the youth? And final words for the youth. Or do you have any programs right now that you want to promote dan sebagainya? So pass to Asyur.
For me, I think I really hope that we as a youth don't just think negatively, think positively in every issue, and how to see the gaps there and opportunity on it. Because if you always think a negative, it doesn't solve this problem itself. So even though it's a negative thing happening around, try to think positive, because we are the leaders of the future, not just the future nowadays. So we need to think positively and try to have it around with the way possible. Yep.
Thank you, Asyur. Harith?
Look into sustainability, because it's going to be a very huge market and a very important market, because right now because of the pandemic, people are seeing COVID as also an environmental problem. So that's why they are more concerned about sustainability right now. And you are seeing a lot of sustainable businesses thriving in this pandemic season. And within these few years, it's still going to be a big shift for the old industry to go into the green industry. So eventually what's going to happen is, right now is, if you see the developed country, they are all want green products. So eventually they will come to us, this area, so and eventually everyone will want it. So you will have, so if you can specialize in, if you are a designer and specialize in green design, if you're an engineer, specialize in sustainable engineering, those kind of things, consultancy, because these are going to be the future business or opportunities that you can look as well. And the good thing about it is you can be professional in or even do business, but it can be net benefit to the world. So capitalism have always been seen as the enemy of social justice and environmental. But if we can find ways how to leverage a capitalism system and create change, either through environment or social and all that, we can create a system that is sustainable, and we can benefit a lot of people and make the world a better place.
Thank you, Harith. Thank you, Asyur, for the word. You guys are amazing. I hope that you guys succeed with what you guys do. I really want to see a collaboration between Youth Ventures, Harith the Carpenter, and my inovasi happening lah, some
Boleh,
apa
boleh.
moving forward in the future, because I see that our culture macam fit sikit kan, and we really want to drive change in the society. And on our side, we are very thankful that you guys spend your time to be here, and we hope to see you guys again in future programs. Thank you guys, and we will be live same time again tomorrow at the same platform, same link from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And do know that tonight we will have some performance happening live, also live, so at 9 p.m. tonight. So that's all from me. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys.